Yeah, I'd like to welcome you to another week of Brain Tumor Talk Worldwide Radio Show. This is a show like few others on the airwaves and on the internet. This is a show dedicated to brain tumors and brain cancers. This is a place where stories of survival are going to be shared. We discuss brain tumor issues, new treatment options, bring not only awareness but action, not just words. We're going to feature worldwide organizations and events that are working towards making a difference. This is also a special place to support all those fighting brain tumors and brain cancers, admire and recognize the survivors, honor those who have been taken, and spread a message of hope. My name's Rick Franzo. I'm a two-time brain tumor survivor, and I'm privileged to be your host every Friday evening for Brain Tumor Talk. We're also going to be playing some great music here, so you don't want to miss any of the next hour. I do want to tell you that the following is my opinion and those of my guests and their stories, not those of 90.3 WESS. And as always, the content of this show is for informational purposes only and not to be constituted as medical advice. Now, to get down to it, we're pleased to have Greg Cantwell. He's the founder of a one-on-one brain cancer support, I can't even say group, but brain cancer support, what do you say, Greg? It's a brain cancer support initiative, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, Rick.
Yeah, it's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's called Greg's Mission, and we're really pleased to have my friend Greg Cantwell with us here. Greg, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Rick. It's a pleasure and always an honor.
I'm going to tell you, we during the first season, and we're in season 6 right now, Greg actually shared his story with me, and we've been talking for, a few years now, and I actually shared Greg's story here before we even had live callers here on this show, and his was one of the first stories that we shared here on this program, and we had an amazing response to it, and Greg has he's really traversed not only the United States, but the globe in helping people with glioblastoma multiforme and all kinds of brain cancers. And he's done amazing things for so many people. And we're going to talk about that. We've got the whole hour with Greg, and we're happy for his time and talents here. But we're going to start off with, you're from Texas right now, correct?
That is correct, yeah. I live in just outside of Austin.
Okay.
8 miles south.
Okay, and Austin is in the north-south. Texas is a big state, so you got to pinpoint it for me. And I'm pretty good with geography, but
my geography is lacking, but it's kind of south. It's about 45 miles from San Antonio.
Okay, all right. So, and how's the weather generally there? Is it usually really hot, or do you get winter there too?
No, right now it's about 70 degrees. It gets down to the 30s at night during the winter, but we usually don't get snow. It's nice climate, much better than the climate's much better than where I used to live in Iowa. That's for sure.
In Iowa, wow, that's lots of cornfields and the field of dreams, I think, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. And so, is that where you're originally from? Is Iowa?
No. Originally, I was born in Germany. I lived there for 12 years, and then came to the States, settled in Boston for a year.
Oh, wow.
Went to high school in Washington, D.C., college in Colorado. Yeah, just all over the place.
So you're a wanderer, huh?
Pretty much.
Excellent.
Pretty much, yeah, my dad ran schools for a living, so
okay.
We went where he went.
No, that makes sense. And it's funny that you said you're from Germany because Debbie Sirasol, who was on the show a few weeks ago, she was actually from Germany also. So that's pretty amazing. We have some good Germans here, so that's nice. Excellent. And we're going to have go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I got a chance to meet Debbie at Head to the Hill last year.
That's fantastic. We're going to talk about Head to the Hill and the National Brain Tumor Society as we go on, because that's another organization that's doing some amazing things, and you are majorly involved with the National Brain Tumor Society on a couple different levels, I guess, right?
A couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Just basically Head to the Hill. I always go down there to lobby Congress. Want increased funding for NIH and NCI because the funding has been decreased due to sequestration, and we're finally getting it back up to where it needs to be. But it needs to be increased year after year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll talk about that as we come up. But, right now, let's talk about you a little bit. So you've been all over the place. So let's talk about your family a little bit. So where are they from? How did you meet your wife?
I met I met my wife in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, well, she's from Iowa, but I met her in Minnesota when I was living out there. And she has a terminal illness herself, so she understands what I'm going through and what having a terminal illness means, and supports what I do 100%. I have an so he'll be 13 April 4th, a son, and he lives part-time with me and part-time with his mom in Minnesota.
Okay. All right. So you see him quite often, actually.
Yeah, I either fly up to Minnesota once a month to see him, or he'll come down here for his school breaks and during the summer. So it's the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. You're amazing. And so, tell us about your diagnosis. So you're going along with life. You're traveling around the country, and so all of a sudden, what you notice something wrong, or
it's I don't know. I believe that the higher powers were watching out for me, because I was living in Hawaii, and then I took a position with Northwest Airlines in St. Paul, Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And the night I got to Minnesota, I had a grand mal seizure. And I didn't know anybody there or, any of the hospitals or anything. And I was rushed to the hospital where I just had a proactive doctor and a proactive neurosurgeon. And that's when I was given my diagnosis. It was a shocker.
And your diagnosis was?
Glioblastoma multiforme.
Which is?
Stage 4 brain cancer.
Wow. And this was, what year was this in, Greg?
This was 2004.
Okay, so we're talking about almost, 12 years ago?
12 years ago.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And so you were given this diagnosis, and so I'm not going to go with the cliche because, I always am offended when people say, so how did you feel? But because I know that no matter what it is, when you're given a horrifying diagnosis, I know how you feel, and anybody can imagine how they feel. But what was your first reaction, I think, is more appropriate.
Sure. Well, I asked myself, why me? Because you never think you're going to come down with something, let alone as serious as a glioblastoma multiforme, one of the most aggressive, or the most aggressive form of brain cancer out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was given the diagnosis, that's what I said. Why me? And then I let a few 10 or 15, 20 minutes go by, and then I said, okay, well, I've been given my diagnosis. They told me I have 12 months to live. They said, get my affairs in order. And what I set out to do was to prove them wrong, prove their textbooks wrong, and survive. And from that point on, that's all I did was remain positive, strong, believe in my doctors, believe in my treatment, believe in myself, and had faith, because faith plays a big role, and set out to win the fight of my life.
And so what exactly was the track that you took?
You mean the treatment plan?
Yeah, I mean, so you went and you did all these things in your head, and you decided this, and this is something that I think that we all do or don't do, because it is do or don't do. And you found this in speaking with so many people, and we're going to get to that as part of the one-on-one. But either you decide that you're going to fight, or you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, my son was 8 months old at the time, so he was my driving force. I wanted to be here for him. There's no way that I wasn't going to survive for him, and that's the attitude that I took right from the beginning.
Yep.
He can't be without his dad, and that's what made me choose the most aggressive treatment plan that was out there at the time. And it was hard. It was extremely hard, and but you know, I mean, it's easy for me to say be strong and be positive when everybody is strong and positive. I don't know what with me differentiates from other people that are going through this, because I'm sure they are just as strong and positive as I was. It comes down to, in my opinion, and I'll say a disclaimer too. These are all my opinions. I'm not a medical professional. I don't treat patients. But in my opinion, having a proactive doctor was key. And by proactive, I mean when you're meeting with your doctors, if they use the term when, that almost always gives you the idea that, okay, well, this doctor's already resigning himself to the fact that the tumor is going to return, so he's not doing what he should do up front in order to make sure that it doesn't return, to give you the best chance at longevity. So I had a neurosurgeon who put the gliadel wafers into my resected tumor site.
Say that again. I didn't catch that.
Oh, I had a neurosurgeon who put gliadel wafers into the resected tumor site. These are chemotherapy wafers that dissolve over a 2.5-week period, providing direct chemotherapy to the leftover cancer cells.
Okay.
And to me, that's key. And it's not offered enough, in today's with today's diagnosis of a grade 4 brain tumor.
And we'll get back to that in a minute.
Should always bring it up and let the patient decide whether or not they want them or not. And too much today, doctors don't even bring them up. I hear they're an old treatment, or there's an added risk of infection, which is true, but it's 1%. And the benefit of the wafers far outweighed the risk to me. So that was my first proactive, I guess, scenario with my neurosurgeon. And then my neuro-oncologist, I did 6 weeks of radiation in conjunction with Timidar, and then I took 4 weeks off, and then I did a very aggressive form of intra-arterial carboplatin, where they go through the femoral artery in your groin, and they thread a catheter up into your brain and release the chemotherapy right to the leftover cancer cells as well. So you're getting that concentration where the chemotherapy needs to be. And I also had Cytoxin and etoposide through a port which they put in my chest. I did 12 cycles of this, once a month, 2 nights and 3 days in the hospital. And the rest of the month I just recuperated and finished my chemotherapy in February of 2006. And to this day, haven't had a recurrence.
And so you attribute your treatment to pretty much all of the proactive treatments that your neurosurgeon and your neuro-oncologist took right there, correct?
Correct, yeah. I, like anybody else who was initially diagnosed, are overwhelmed. You go right to Google, which I don't recommend doing.
Right.
But you go right to Google, and I knew nothing. I didn't educate myself on these treatments. I was told these treatments, which is where the proactive doctor came in. And then I was given an opportunity to choose. If I wanted to do nothing and live the rest of my life, 12 months or however long, with not doing anything, or have surgery and do minimal intervention, or go all out and, hit it with everything that medicine had and hopefully be able to survive. And I decided the latter, to hit it with everything that medicine had, because I wanted to be here for my son. And, so far it's worked.
And you just had a MRI a few days ago, or yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. I had, this is the longest I've gone without having an MRI because we had moved from Iowa, and I hadn't been able to set up a neuro-oncologist here in Austin, in the Austin area, and so it's been 8 months since my last MRI, and it's stable. It's the same as it always has been.
I loved hearing that. That is amazing. That, you know, I read that, and amazing, and I know that there's people out there clapping for you also, and you had so many positive congratulations and good wishes for that also, and nobody felt better about it than you, of course, and your family, and that's really a positive, because you know what, there's always hope, and we talk about this on this show all the time. Hope is real, and hope is tangible, and hope is something that you can wrap your arms around. And so you're about 10 years cancer-free, really, and we say cancer-free.
Almost 12, actually.
Well, almost 12, because it was
almost 12.
Diagnosis almost 12, and since 2006, you stopped your treatments.
Correct.
And so, you know, that's amazing. And I'd like to go back and talk about, and again, and Greg said it, and we started off the show with the disclaimer. Greg is not a medical professional. We don't advocate anything here. We only offer it as this is the opinions. But I want to talk about the chemo wafers and the treatment that went up into your, I believe it had to go through your carotid artery.
Through the femoral artery in my groin.
The femoral artery, and then it went up into your brain, correct?
Correct, yeah,
okay.
Through a catheter. So they threaded a catheter just like they would do a heart procedure. So they threaded a catheter, they bypassed the heart and went up to my brain and released the chemotherapy right on the cancer cells.
I see. And do they offer that treatment very often or no?
No, it's a specialized treatment. There's not very many doctors that do it in the country. And a lot of doctors, like I said before, have their own opinion on it and are not willing to take the risk. And because there's risk when you're doing anything, and unfortunately, it's not left up to the patient to decide if they want to take the risk. And like I said before, it should be.
Now, when you did the chemo wafers, that's something new. I have not heard of that, and I'm sure that other people have. Can you go into a little more depth of what's involved in that? Because I think that some of our listeners would be very, very interested in that. Greg?
Yeah, it has to be done during surgery. So that's why it's important that people listen right now, because if you're diagnosed with a GBM, and it has to be a GBM to receive these wafers, it has to be done during surgery. Neurosurgeons are not going to go back in after surgery and put these wafers in. So, and you may not hear about them from your neurosurgeon because they have their own opinion on them. So it's up to you, the patient or the family, to advocate for them. And so what they do is they resect the tumor, and then in place of the tumor, they pack as many of these wafers, these chemotherapy wafers, that they can into the resected tumor site. And it acts as a direct chemotherapy to the leftover cancer cells. And I mean, I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and you'll probably hear me say it more times during this interview, but it's key to get those, to get that chemotherapy right on the cells. Your whole body doesn't need chemotherapy, just where the brain tumor was. So, I mean, having that put in there, and over a 2.5-week period, having direct contact with the leftover cancer cells, which I will say the doctors can't even see with a microscope. So, it's not necessarily, they don't know how many are up there or where they are. They're just in there. So the idea is that the wafers will kill those leftover cancer cells.
This is amazing information. This is very important information. And the bottom line is that you have to be your own best advocate for your health care. And you have to first be knowledgeable about the treatments that are out there, correct?
That is correct. And that's part of what Greg's mission is all about. It's about educating the patient, the family, and the caregiver on all the treatment options that are out there, giving them that information and letting them do their own research on them, and make their own educated decision on what's best for them and their family. Everybody's different. Everybody will have a different decision. So, but to have all that information in front of you of all the treatment options that are out there, rather than just the treatment options that your doctor may be giving you, is also huge. I mean, they might not want to be as aggressive as you do. The gold standard, quote unquote, with Timidar may not be the only thing you want to do. You know, so it just gives the patient and their family that much more information so that they can make that decision, the life-changing or saving decision for them and their family.
It just makes sense. It just makes sense. Now, how did Greg's mission actually evolve?
Well, about 8 years ago, I decided we were living in Iowa, and I just decided to put it out there. I started a survivor and caregiver website, and just to see if one-on-one support, if I could help anybody, if anybody was looking for support for a GBM diagnosis. And so I put that website up, and within 3 months, I had 40,000 hits from around the world. And that, to me, was like, this is a support that is needed, a support system that is not being handled right now, that needs to be handled, because I know what I didn't have, and I know what I would have wanted to have, and that was another patient to talk to, another long-term survivor to talk to guide me through the process, to tell me about his, what happened to him, even though things aren't the same with everybody. But just to hear what could happen and what did happen and what the possibilities are. That, to me, would have been invaluable. So I want to give everybody the opportunity to talk to me, and I'm available 24/7 to be able to do that. And just to talk, if that's all. But yeah.
And so, where did it go from there? Because 40,000 hits is quite a bit. And so, you saw that there was a need that was lacking. There was a definitely a hole where there should have been some sort of support and some information. And so, you decided to do something about it, and that was what?
Yeah, I decided to make my life's mission to help people, because I believe I survived for a reason, and that was to help others with this diagnosis, help their caregivers, help their family, help their spouses, and so I did this for 4 years, just before forming my nonprofit in 2012, since my nonprofit, I've helped over 1,700 brain tumor patients, families, and caregivers.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's one-on-one.
That is correct, yes. I don't hire, well, I can't hire because I don't have any funds, but I don't hire people like social workers to call, or when a person contacts me, they're going to get me. I'm either going to email them back, I'll get on the phone and I'll call them back. They're going to get me. I can promise you and promise all the listeners out there that if they reach out, they're going to talk to me, a long-term survivor, a person with information, not somebody that may not have been through what you're going through.
And I can tell you that is 110% true, because I was contacted by someone that said, Rick, you're a brain tumor survivor, and I have a gentleman who I know who's got a glioblastoma multiforme, and would you talk to him? And I said, certainly. But my brain tumor was different, and of course I do support, as most of you know. And so I spoke with him, and I said, and we talked, and I said, there's a gentleman who I want you to talk to, and of course it was Greg. And so I said, would you be open to talking to him? And he said, and he spoke to me because we had mutual friends, and he said, absolutely. So the first thing I did when I got off the phone with this gentleman is I called Greg, and he said, yeah, of course. So Greg said, I'll call him as soon as we get off the phone. And of course, Greg called him, and they talked and they kept in touch. And so this is absolutely true. And not just because Greg knew me, but he called the guy right up. And that's what it's all about. It's about support. And it's so important because brain cancer, brain tumors in general, but brain cancer is so scary. And it's such an unknown. And we need so much more support for it, and that's just 100% true, right, Greg?
That is correct. Yeah, the diagnosis doesn't come, at a certain time. It's not an 8 to 5 thing. Like after 5, you're okay. So, but no, it comes at any time, and I want to be available to talk to anybody at any time. And the only reason I wouldn't answer the phone is if I was on the other line. So I want to let everybody know that if they do call or email and I don't get back to them right away, it's because I'm helping somebody else.
Or he's sleeping.
Get back to you that day. I'm not gonna wait 12 or 24 hours to get back to you. I'll get back to you right away because I know how urgent it is. And I have people in their doctor's office actually put me on speakerphone and listen in and ask some hard questions that I didn't know to ask. So yeah, it's all hours of the night during the day, and it's a passion of mine. It's why I believe I survived, like I said, and I'm not going to stop doing it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And the heck out of you for what you do, for sure. And so, where's Greg's mission going from here?
That's that's
I mean, you're growing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you're doing things that we were talking about some things that you're doing across the pond, I think, right?
Yeah, with going to conferences and meeting with cancer centers and their brain tumor patients and so on and so forth. But it's only me,
right?
I don't have a staff. I write the grants. I meet with patients. I meet with neuro-oncologists. I meet with neurosurgeons. I speak at pharmaceutical companies. I speak at cancer centers. It's just me. And I will never hire a social worker to help with what I do because I mean, this is my baby, and I want to make sure that everybody is taken care of. I would love to have somebody on staff in development to be able to take over some fundraising projects and write some grants for me, because the grants that I do get are small in size because I'm not a National Brain Tumor Society or an American Cancer Society or a Susan G. Komen. So I get kind of looked over, if you will. But that's not deterring me from making sure that I contact 100% of the people that reach out to me.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, that's a challenge that many small nonprofits have. And I've seen it across the board for many that we've spoken with here, is that, their main challenge is that, they're so small and they have to do all these things themselves. I think that grant writing is one of the biggest challenges because of the flow of funds to come in is so hard, and the economy being what it is, even in a good economy, it's very, very tenuous at best.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's not easy to write a grant. It takes a long time. It takes, and frankly, I don't have enough time in the day or week, to get a big one written, So, but that's not, my main focus is the patient, the family, and the caregiver, and that's what I focus my energy on, and that's where most of my energy goes. So.
And let's talk about the National Brain Tumor Society, because you've done some things there. I know that you do the Head to the Hill, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But when when people contact the National Brain Tumor Society and they have a GBM patient, do they contact you, or there's another organization called Immerman's Angels, and I know that Johnny Immerman, and we can talk about them for a moment, and I'm going to let you talk about them because you have more knowledge about Immerman's Angels, and you know Johnny Immerman, and they actually send people to you, which I find is amazing because they're a huge organization.
Yeah, they have a number. What they do is they match patients with people who have been through it before, have walked in their footsteps and survived. And I've been volunteering with Immerman's Angels since I started doing anything like this. Probably 8 years ago when I first when I started my first website. And the National Brain Tumor Society got out of the patient care business or the patient support business and sends them now to Johnny Immerman and Immerman's Angels. And then Johnny would in turn have his staff call me, and I take over that patient. But his organization is awesome. He's a great guy. He's very outgoing, and I highly recommend anybody who has any other type of cancer that wants support to give Johnny a call. It's an incredible organization, and I can only strive to be as good as that, and that's my goal someday.
No, you've achieved it. You're amazing. I don't have any doubt that you've helped so many people, and you're an incredible, amazing person, and you have nothing to hold a candle to. You're there, my friend. You really are. Let's talk about some of the fundraising that you've done. You've had galas in some amazing places. You've had them in Iowa, and I think you're going to have one in L.A.
The LA one is in the works. We don't have a date for that yet. Probably in a couple years, because we want to make sure that it's going to be the best it can be, since I don't have a staff. We had our first one in Cedar Rapids, Iowa last year, and we raised some pretty good funds. It was really exciting to see a gala come together. It was the first one for Greg's Mission. I also, over the past couple years, have had, I partnered with minor league baseball, and I had 26 teams in 22 states, and I did a road trip, and I would be at the stadium. They'd play my public service announcement, and people would show up, and I would meet with them one-on-one, either at the stadium or at my hotel after the game. And that just, gets communities together and gets people together so that they can have their own support system, support network in their community.
That's amazing.
Because due to the HIPAA regulations, doctors can't tell you about patients. Patients have to find their resources by themselves unless they go to a support group, per se.
Right.
And a lot of people don't feel comfortable in those type of situations. So if I can help get a number of people together and have a small get together and create a support group for them so that they feel comfortable, then that's what it's all about.
I've noticed that, and you've been around the country, so I've noticed that the support groups are really, really lacking for brain tumors and brain cancers nationwide. Do you agree?
Yes, they are, and even here in Texas, they are. If specifically for brain tumors, there's very few of them, and it's up to the funding isn't there for them, and it's up to basically a brain tumor survivor themselves to go out and get a venue like a library. A library is a great place to start. They have conference rooms, and they're more than willing to donate their room, and then just put it out there. And I think you've started one of those though, Rick, haven't you?
I have, yeah, right here in the Poconos and northern Jersey, correct. And we do it right here at the local Good Shepherd rehab facility here in the hospital, and it's very successful. We have a dozen members, and they have all types of tumors, including glioblastoma, and it's really necessary to have this, and we found that people are traveling from New Jersey to come here to Pennsylvania actually to attend the meetings, and so there's definitely another example of a void where people need the support. Now, I know that south of us in more metropolitan areas, there is a couple of very, very large support groups, and that's wonderful because people are getting the support they need. And I know that there's a couple of very, very organized and really wonderful groups down there. But in this area, and even in some really really metropolitan areas of New Jersey, there's really nothing, and that's kind of shocking to me. And even in a lot of the parts of the United States, and you've seen it, where you would think that there would be, and even in Texas, I'm sure you're seeing that you would think that there would be, and yet there's not.
Yeah, I mean, I just met with Texas Oncology yesterday. That's where I'm going to be going for my MRIs, and I sat down with them after that professionally. And I asked them how come there's no support group there, and they said that they tried it for 2 years and it wasn't being attended. So I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's for some people, it's not for others. And if you don't have, I mean, to me, when I go somewhere, I always publicize it. I always put it out on Facebook, Twitter, to let people know that I'm going to be there. So if they want to come out and meet with me, I'll schedule them a time, and I'm more than happy to do that, whether I'm on vacation, meeting, going to see family, whatever. I want to let people know, because the people that I support and stuff like that are all over the place, and I want to support more. And, if they're able to come out and see me and talk to me one-on-one, then, that's a benefit for them as well as me, because I'm helping them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you've gotten some recognition also. So when I wanted to have you as my guest in, I think it was December, you weren't able to make it because you were at a banquet receiving an award, I believe. Can we talk about that a little bit, if that's okay?
Sure. Yeah, I was pretty. I have word finding issues, so please pipe in if I'm looking for a word there, Rick.
And I have word finding issues, so we're going to make quite the pair.
So I have, in November I received a GBM Heroes Award from the Cure Media Group. The Cure Media Group puts out the Cure magazine, which is all about cancer diagnoses, and it's not necessarily just about brain cancer, but it's about all types of cancer. Gives great information, and people can. It's a free magazine, free subscription. So I would definitely look it up if you want to subscribe to it. But yeah, they send out or on their website, they had people send in nominations, and to my surprise, I had 14 people that I've helped nominate me for this award. And I was one of 4 winners of a GBM Heroes Award, and it's for going above and beyond the standard of GBM care. And it was just awesome to see that people are that people understand what I do, and that people appreciate more. Mm-hmm. That's the word I'm looking for. People appreciate what I do, and people understand the need for it, and understand that it helps these people that have written in, and it was just humbling.
Well, it was well deserved. I know that for a fact, my friend. That's quite an award, and you do so much for the community, and we congratulate you here at the Brain Tumor Talk Worldwide Radio Show for you receiving that award also, because that's quite an award to get, and you have helped so many people one on one.
Yes, one on one.
Amazing, and I defy anybody to say that. I can't, for sure. And this is one of the things, and you just helped a lot of people because you gave information that I have not heard of, but a lot of people listening, they needed hope. And you gave hope, and we're going to talk about a lot of what we talked about here on the Brain Tumor Talk Worldwide Radio Show Facebook page. I'm going to share a lot of that information. You and I will talk about this, and we'll share this information, especially about some of the things that you did when you were diagnosed, if that's okay with you. And,
that's fine.
I'm
we can... Book.
Yeah.
So, anything that you see on my website, or if anybody has any specific questions, they can reach me or reach you.
And what's your website? What's the address for that?
Greg's Mission. That's GREGS, no apostrophe, mission.org.
Okay.
ORG.
Okay.
And all my contact information is on the website. I do want to tell everybody that there is hope. Please don't lose hope. Because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have hope. And like Rick said in the beginning, it is tangible. You can wrap your arms around it, and
it's real. It's definitely a talking, living example and embodiment of it. And I'm privileged to have you and count you as one of my friends. And
likewise, Rick.
It's one of the things, I always say, if I never had a brain tumor, but you're one of the amazing individuals that I've, been connected with. And if I never was afflicted with this, I never would have been in touch with you. And I think that would have been a crime. And so, these things, they happen, and we make it what it is. And, I want to thank you so much for being here and educating everybody and inspiring everybody, myself included. I mean, I'm just blown away. I'm gonna really be thinking about this, and we're definitely going to talk after the show. So stay on the line. And I do want to say, we do want to remember Lance Coons from McCollum Lake, Illinois. He did pass in the last couple days. He was a brain cancer warrior. He fought for over 20 years, and he did pass, and I found that out today. So we do want to pay our respects to him, and rest easy, brother. And we do lose people, and I know that there's people that I've been in touch with that more than I care to admit that have gone, and you the same, I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah. Even though I know the diagnosis and prognosis and stuff, unfortunately they do, and people do, and I get really close to people. I meet them in person, and I talk to them on the phone twice a week. Sometimes even more than that, and it's that's probably the hardest part of what I do, is not being able to hear their voice or pick up the phone and give them a call anymore. But I know that the time that they were here, that we were friends or brothers, that I was helping them and their family, and that their quality of life was better. And, that gives me peace.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And, much respect to you for sure. Greg, thank you very much for being our guest, and, I hope you come back and spend some time with us again. And more information is going to be definitely on the Facebook page, Brain Tumor Talk Worldwide Radio Show. And if you need more information, it's Greg's Mission, no apostrophe, gregsmission.org, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and all of his contact information is there. Thank you so much, Greg. Stay on the line, and we're going to get on with Brain Tumor Talk Worldwide Radio Show right here on 90.3 FM WESS.